Now, this next subject is one that has me totally intrigued. Now, would you believe that more than 1.7 million South Africans might be suffering from a modern-day phenomenon called leisure sickness, and this apparently mainly affects professionals. Now, it's a medical condition that strikes when individuals go on holiday, and the signs of leisure sickness, we are told, could be anything from nausea to migraines, muscular pains, and colds and flu-like symptoms, and problems that could last for weeks. And joining us now from our Seapoint studios is Nicole Jennings, spokesperson for Pharmacodynamics, to tell us more about this condition. Nicole, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, leisure sickness, I never thought I would ever come across something like this in my life. But firstly, what exactly is this?
Okay, so leisure sickness is not necessarily a newish phenomenon, but researchers are now starting to pay more attention to it. It was first discovered by Dutch researchers at the University of Tilburg in the Netherlands. And what they found is that individuals who are particularly dedicated to their jobs, usually highly strung type A personalities, and people who are classified as overachievers and perfectionists, tend to come down with illness during the holiday season, be it a cold or flu or your migraines and your nausea. And there are two main schools of thought behind what could be causing the leisure sickness. On the one hand, it's argued that the body's defense mechanism is up during the year when you have all the adrenaline and all the stress contributing to a high-paced lifestyle. And when you then go on leave, as you relax, the immune system becomes more vulnerable to bacterial and viral infections. Then there's another school of thought that looks at the psychological impact for people who are very dedicated to their jobs. When they go on leave and they don't have the fulfillment of their career, especially in people who don't have a very strong work-life balance, where they've got friends and family as a support structure, where they've got hobbies and where they have, sort of exercise and other things that can fulfill their lives, the psychological impact of not having a daily job can actually weaken the immune system and again can make you more susceptible to bacterial and viral infections.
So, Nicole, what would be the difference between leisure sickness and something like yuppie flu, for example? Because, as you know, yuppie flu was said to be something that's just in the mind.
Yes, that's correct. So it's certainly possible that certain things can just be in the mind, but there's a significant amount of research that suggests that your psychological state or your mental well-being is directly linked to physical well-being. So while the cause of the issue might be mental, it might be a psychological issue that you're dealing with when you don't have that career to fulfill your lifestyle. It's not unlikely that the impact of that can manifest physically and can present with physical illness. What we can also do is distinguish between a normal cold and a flu and leisure sickness. So generally, they found that in individuals that suffered from leisure sickness in particular, they would present repeatedly over the holiday period. So if you find yourself falling sick or feeling a bit under the weather, over long weekends and on an annual basis during the holiday season, then it's very likely that it's leisure sickness and not just a normal cold and flu that's affecting you. And also interesting to note is that this research done by Tilburg found that in some cases it's so severe that without making a lifestyle change in the form of actually leaving your existing job, you will continue to present with those symptoms. So yes, I think now, we can see with more and more research being done, this is a very real phenomenon that does affect a lot of people.
And that's what I was going to ask, so this is a real thing, so you've just answered that. But how can it be treated?
Okay, so the best way to address it is to treat the cause, not the symptoms. Of course, when you present with cold and flu-like symptoms, you can treat it as you would any cold and flu by using your over-the-counter medication, immune-boosting supplements, and the like. But essentially, if you do suspect that it is leisure sickness and it is a result of a very stressed lifestyle, then the best thing to do is to just maintain a work-life balance. So look at taking short bouts of leave throughout the year, lessening the hours that you spend at the office, You can consider, not always being available to colleagues, not working through lunch hours, being available over the weekends, not logging onto your laptop and checking mails over the weekend. So your body becomes used to the fact that you're not always on, you're not always present and working. And then also just taking care of your own health from a physical perspective by looking at a nutritious diet. Many people that have these very demanding careers tend to opt for simple options. So they'll go for takeaway foods, and they don't always get in all the micronutrients that are so essential to maintain a strong immune system. And then, of course, just regular exercise, 30 minutes up to 3 times a week. It not only de-stresses the body, but it also plays a major role in keeping your immune system strong.
So, Nicole, just finally, because I can imagine there are many skeptics watching right now. So, how would you go about basically explaining to them and convincing them that this is real?
It's so interesting. The more you speak to people, the more you see people nodding their heads as they think about it. And you realize that so many of us know someone, or we have experienced it ourselves, where we go through an extremely stressful phase, and as soon as we relax, the illness comes in. I was actually chatting to a colleague earlier this week about this leisure illness, and she mentioned people who fall ill over their honeymoon period, after going through that stressful stage of planning a wedding, and all of a sudden the stress is out of the body, your defense is down, and the immune system becomes vulnerable and susceptible to illness.
Wow. Well, Nicole, that has been very enlightening. Thanks so much for chatting to us this morning. Nicole Jennings, spokesperson for Pharma Dynamics, and talking to us there about leisure sickness. Now, would you believe we live and we learn? So maybe you know someone like that, dedicated to their job, and once that is taken away, they present with symptoms of illness. There you have it. At Morning Live.